Alright, shout out to some of the guys that helped me. Precision Fabrication and Wiring gets me all the Holley EFI and parts that I need. Forced Inductions gets me the best turbos out there. Wouldn't want to do it without those guys. Apple's Engine Rebuilding takes care of all my machine work needs. And of course, Wet King Customs for the paint and body work, providing the slickest paint jobs around. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel here. When we left you last, we were kind of on the struggle bus, tearing up stuff. Of course, tore up this door. So today, starting out, I'm going to pick up where we left off, showing this door and how it tore up the beautiful paint. And we're going to go over how we intend to remedy that from being able to happen again. And it's a pretty simple solution and going to be pretty cheap to do as long as you know, have a little know-how and some tools. So I'll just show you what I do in case you got similar hinges to what I have, and hopefully it helps somebody from going through this. I'm going to try to show you after this door came off how to put a pin on it, which I'm not sure it's going to work, but this is what I'm going to do. Basically, I'm going to drill a hole all the way through this piece right here, which I've already drilled. So you got this part right here that's on the door hinge. It's captured in this part right here, which has got a little metal in there, but it's captured in there and it won't let it go any higher than that because of the way it's machined. So I drill a smaller hole in there and it still goes to the capture point and won't come through. And then I've cut a little piece of round stock and drilled a hole in it. I'm gonna weld it on the end of this and have it come straight through here and pin it on the top, and then it won't be able to come off. Alright, we got that welded. It's cooling down. I'm gonna grind it down a little bit so it'll fit through this hole, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Alright guys, I know we're looking like a bunch of dummies trying to figure this thing out, but if you can see this in the video, do you see those lines? It's kind of hard to get it in there, but if you see those lines right there, that's our groove, and I believe that it is wrinkling the tire and basically what we call driving over the tire. And if we can get it to stop doing that, it'll go. Okay, so one of the things we hadn't mentioned about trying is we're going to leave with the dump valve open. Spent some time before going to the shop to make sure that, or to the track, to make sure that this dump valve was working. I've got two of them, found out only one was working. Plan on using one to spool and one to leave on. Found out that it only has like 25 psi when open. Talked to Eric Gold and he said that he thought it would work, so we decided to give that a try, and it ends up helping it hook. With it, hopefully this thing's gonna go down and be happy, and we'll see. We already got there's camera. Alright, we're on the way to the staging lane, so waited on the sun to get off the track so we can get at least a decent track to start trying to figure this suspension out. So we'll see if we can get it to stay down and go. Alright, so I was lucky enough to be in the staging lanes with Billy Gordon. He's pretty knowledgeable on this stuff, and he was willing to lend me a hand and tell me a helpful tip on this shock. And you'll notice that dip is pretty much gone after applying some of the knowledge he gave me. Shout out to Billy Gordon for the help on figuring that out. Anyway, the car drives out, hooks up, drives into a power wheelie, which I feel we can tune that out of it from here, and I feel like we're on to a good path now. Alright guys, here we got two wet dry backs on the motor. Pulling through the catch can, which pulls through the crankcase, and Pulls it through this filter right here, ventilates the crankcase, helps keep the alcohol out of the oil. And then just to help it cool down faster, we got one hose hooked on the thermostat housing because we don't run water, so that helps cool the motor down faster. And over here, as you see, the cooler hooked into these fittings, and see we're getting close to about down to we're at 140. See, it's still pumping. So get down to about probably 120 or so. We'll go on up and make a hit. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Thing took off like a rocket. It did drive into a smaller power wheelie on this time. We're going to tighten the rear shocks a little more and take a little more weight out of the back, and that should help a lot, and we'll see what that does. Pay attention and you'll hear the dump valve close and kind of bog the engine. But that's what that sound is, the dump closing. So I'm very happy with the last pass. It did drive out into a wheelie. It was kind of a low wheelie, but it wheelied so long that it started to track out of the groove. I think we're going to have to put a little rear steer in it to compensate for that. I did have to give it a few little pedals and to set it down to steer it back in the groove. But other than that, it was a really shockingly fast pass for just making the first A to B. I got to give a shout out to Cameron's Converters. This thing is looking like it's going to be a pretty amazing piece. It's locking up really good, so much so I think it's going to require a gear change to continue using it and get the most out of this setup. And I believe we're going to have a really fast hot rod. So I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, about the helpful hint that I received to take care of the little dip in the suspension. These gas canisters, they need pressure. You can put nitrogen or CO2 in them, and I ended up at about 90 psi, and that seemed to help with the dip that I was having that was causing the tire spin. So some contact info for Cameron's torque converters, and also can't go wrong with either one of these, but PTC has also been good to me.